Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So we have a couple of different dates by two different organizations saying that if the trust fund, if something is not done about the trust fund by that time, unfortunately we will no longer be able to pay out 100% of the benefits. Now, Social Security benefits would still go out on a monthly basis. However, they would have to be reduced by right around 20 to 25% of whatever you're receiving by those dates. So, of course, we had the first date, which is from the Social Security trustees. They are saying that by 2034, they'll no longer be able to pay out 100% of the benefits. And then we have another date by the Congressional Budget Office. They actually say 1 year earlier of 2033. So we have two very legitimate sources there saying either 2033 or 2034. That's going to be the next 10 to 11 years. The Social Security Trust Fund is going to be insolvent, where once again, payments are still definitely going to go out. It's not going broke. Social Security is not going broke, but the trust fund is slowly dwindling down, which means there will have to be a cut that needs to take place in 2033 or 2034 to continue paying out benefits to everyone who is eligible to receive them. And once again, that benefit cut would be anywhere between 20 to 25%, which means that if you're receiving a $1,000 benefit in those years, that would be cut down to either $750 to $800. Now, thankfully, there are some lawmakers who are really trying to do something about this problem. They're not pushing it to the side. They're not kicking the can down the road. They really want to make these Social Security Trust Funds solvent because they don't want to have these 20 to 25% cuts. We definitely cannot afford to have people receiving benefits have a cut of 20 to 25%. That would just be ridiculous. And on top of that, not only do they want to fix the solvency issue of Social Security, but they also want to make the program a whole lot better for everyone. So for example, they actually want to have increases of anywhere between, let's say, like $200 to $500 per month. Because quite frankly, a lot of people, what they're receiving on Social Security, it's making up a lot of the income that they have. And it's very difficult to get by. It's very difficult to pay rent, their mortgage, pay for groceries, all the bills that we have. It's just not enough. And for, a lot of Americans, let's say like 93% of Americans who are receiving Social Security, it makes up a good chunk of their income. So it's definitely a necessity to keep the program solvent. And hey, if they could increase benefits by, let's say, like $200 to $500 per month, even better. And we have a lot of lawmakers pushing for that to happen by the end of this year. Again, we have 10 years to get something done, but we definitely need to do something now. This year in 2023, we cannot continue to kick the can down the road. So we're going to be going over some big changes that would be taking place if they were able to implement this $200 to $500 increase, or really just any increase at all in keeping the program solvent for a longer period of time. But before I go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so the first big change, of course, that would be taking place if we were to increase benefits by $200 per month is they would make it so the wealthy, or people who earn more money, would have to continue paying into the Social Security Trust Fund. So basically how it works right now in 2023, if you're working and you earn up to $160,200 per year, you would have to pay Social Security payroll tax on your entire $160,200 that you earn. So if you're an employee, if you're working for someone, you'd be paying 6.2% of your $160,200. And if you're self-employed, whether you're like an Uber driver or you have your own business, whatever, if you're like an independent contractor, you would actually have to pay the entire 12.4%. Where if you're an employee, you're only paying 6.2%, and your boss, your employer, they would match your 6.2%, which would then total 12.4%. So what a lot of lawmakers are calling for is making it so you would actually have to continue paying into the Social Security Trust Fund on any income above $250,000. So you would pay your Social Security payroll tax on the first $160,200 that you earn. Then there would be a gap there between that amount and $250,000 where you wouldn't pay anything at all. And then anything above $250,000, you would once again have to pay into the Social Security Trust Fund. Now, reports showed that actually 93% of American households would not be impacted by this. So 93% of American households do not earn above $250,000 right now. That could definitely change in the future with inflation and everything like that. And they say that they would actually be bringing in a lot more money into the trust fund just because the wealthy would have to pay more into that amount. So for example, we have like Elon Musk, of course, who owns Twitter and also Tesla. They said that back in 2021, apparently he would have paid in an additional $2.9 billion into the trust fund. And of course, not only Musk, but we have lots of other people who earn above $250,000 who could generate more revenue into the trust fund. So that would obviously be helpful, not only in keeping the trust fund solvent, but again, having these increases of anywhere between $200 to $500 per month. Now, the second change they're also talking about, in addition to making income taxable for that, just wages that you earn at your job or your business or whatever, they would also make investment income taxable as well. So like for example, if you buy Apple stock for $100 per share, if you buy one share of Apple at $100 and then you go on to sell it at $200, that would be a $100 capital gain as far as your investment goes. And then of course you're also receiving dividends. So if you receive like, let's say $100 per year in dividends from all the stocks you own, right now in 2023, that is not taxable by Social Security. You're only paying federal income taxes on those capital gains and dividends, depending how they are treated as far as taxes go. So they're also calling on investment income to be taxed as well and going into the Social Security Trust Fund, which would also, of course, bring in more money to the trust fund as well. Now, a lot of lawmakers are calling on investment income to be taxed starting at $200,000 for single filers, and for joint filers, anything above $250,000. Again, this would bring in a lot of more money to the Social Security Trust Fund, which of course would make the program solvent for a longer period of time and also allow for those increases again of around $200 per month. Now, the third change they're also talking about is raising the Social Security payroll tax. So like I mentioned earlier on in today's video, again, if you're an employee, you pay 6.2%, then your employer matches the other 6.2%, that's 12.4% total. And then of course, if you're an independent contractor, if you're self-employed, you have your own business, you're gonna be paying the entire 12.4%. They're also talking about raising this amount from, let's say, like 6.2 all the way up to 7.2% if you're an employee. That's a 1% increase in taxes going to Social Security. And then of course, it would be 14.4% if you're self-employed. So it'd be a 2% increase for self-employed individuals, and that would bring in an additional 1 to 2% Social Security tax to the trust fund, which of course, if they did that in addition to making it so you had to pay Social Security taxes on any income above $250,000, that would bring in a lot more income as well. Now, the fourth change they're also talking about, some lawmakers are talking about anyways, is changing the way in which they invest the funds that are coming into the trust fund. So currently in 2023, and pretty much all time, what they've been doing is they've been investing in U.S. Treasury securities. And this is a surefire bet to, increase the amount that they have from their trust funds. It's a for sure investment. It's very safe. And, it's not terrible, but it's also not great. So like over the last 10 years or so, they have generated returns of right around 3.85%, which again isn't terrible. It's a little bit higher than what they would shoot for as far as inflation goes at 2%, or pretty much even. Inflation has been actually higher than the 3.85% number over the past couple of years. But it's certainly not bad. But a lot of lawmakers have said like, hey, maybe we should be looking at better investment options. Because if you look at like the S&P 500, which is pretty much tracks like the general stock market, the biggest 500 companies, that over the last 10 years has generated returns of 17.7%, which, obviously if we had, the trust fund invested like in the S&P 500 or stocks, real estate, something like that, perhaps they could generate a lot better returns than Treasury securities. Now, sure, they could go down as well, but over the last like 100 years, the stock market has gone up. So a lot of lawmakers are pushing for this money to actually be invested into the stock market. That way it could generate better returns, make the trust fund solvent for a longer period of time, and hey, we could actually increase benefits again by, let's say, like $200 per month. So obviously that could be pretty beneficial as well. Now, the sixth change that a lot of lawmakers are pushing for in 2023 is actually to reduce benefits that the higher earners for Social Security are currently receiving. So right now, In 2023, the maximum amount if you retire at the age of 67 and collect your full retirement benefits would be $3,627. Again, that's for the age of 67. And if you wait all the way until the age of 70 to receive your max amount, you can receive all the way up to $4,555. A lot of the lawmakers are saying that, hey, perhaps we could have that reduced, maybe from like, let's say $3,627 down to $3,000, and then the max amount of $4,555 down to $4,000 perhaps. Just throwing in some ideas. That way they wouldn't be paying out as many benefits to people who are higher earners and probably earn a lot more money during their career and have a lot more money to fall back on. Alternatively, they've also been talking about doing means testing. So for people who are still working while receiving Social Security, they're saying that perhaps maybe you're only paying out the full benefits to single individuals earning less than $125,000 per year, or joint filers earning less than $250,000 per year. And let's say that if you're a single individual, you would be earning a little bit less once you earn above $125,000 per year. And then if you earn above $150,000 per year, you wouldn't receive any benefit at all. So it'd be kind of like a means testing deal. And of course, you would have an income cap for joint fathers as well. So those are a couple of different ideas they are talking about. Now, the sixth change that they're talking about making is alternatively making Social Security payments just a flat amount, so it wouldn't actually be based on income. So instead of, let's say, like someone earning like $3,800 and another person earning like $1,500, instead you would just have everyone, no matter what your income was during your working career, make like, let's say, like $2,000. So again, it would be a flat amount. It didn't matter if you made like $60,000 per year on average during your working career or $150,000 during your working career, you would make the exact same amount. And they're saying that, it's Social Security should be more like a safety net, and people who earn a lot of money during their career, again, probably don't need as much money for Social Security as what they're receiving. And people who earn the least amount of money during their working career are probably the ones who really need this money the most. So they could perhaps pay out a flat amount and make these Social Security trust funds solvent for a longer period of time as well. Now, of course, once again, we do have a lot of lawmakers pushing for these ideas to happen, pushing for these increases to happen. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Would you like to have an increase of $200 per month? How helpful would it be to you? I think for a lot of Americans, having an increase, and of course, having the safety and the peace of mind, knowing that the trust fund is going to be solvent for a longer period of time than just the next 10 years, that would really go a long way, making a lot of Americans feel a whole lot better about the overall situation. Again, let me know what your thoughts and comments are below about these changes. Would you like to see them implemented? Do you have other ideas that you would like to see happen? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. But that's all the news that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.